receivers, dudes in the trenches, running backs, linebackers, even quarterbacks. Regardless of position, every football player needs to be strong and fast. And we're gonna give you 10 of the best football exercises that you can plug directly into our free football strength training template by clicking on the link down in the description, and we're gonna start right now. So the first aspect is we wanna focus on speed, and when we're training speed, we're gonna be able to put ourselves in greater opportunities to make more plays. So we have to look at developing locomotion, developing acceleration, and even developing that transient speed. And that first aspect is that we want to use a tool that's really good at helping with speed. And we are going to use a sled. And we're gonna demonstrate a sled exercise here with starting linebacker at Pitt, Brandon George. And so Brandon is going to demonstrate a sled march, and we want to just focus on nice and strong, feel good knee drive, good, maybe a little more forward lean, good, boom, 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 boom. And we're gonna do this for about 5 to 6 sets, building up, feeling that energy get into the ground, okay? And this is something that you can do earlier in your training in the off season to develop that power output. And then as you get stronger with the sled march, you can start to work into more rapid accelerations. You can start to lighten the load down to about 10% body weight and get even faster. So that second sled exercise is going to be a heavier sled push. And what we want to focus on here is going to be similar to that sled march, but we can get an even steeper shin angle. And I really like this if we're an edge rusher, or even if we're an offensive lineman or an interior D tackle. And in Brandon's case, as a linebacker, there are gonna be times where he's taking on blockers or he's blitzing and he's gonna be hitting somebody. So this is a good exercise to use to try to get stronger and apply a ton of force into that opposing object. So one thing we can go here is pretty heavy. We wanna get nice and steep, drive forward as hard as possible. So this is something that you could do, let's say 5 sets of 20 yards each way at a decent clip. And one thing that you can think of is by like the 3rd, 4th set, load it pretty heavy, and then maybe on that 5th set, take it like 90 pounds off and go a little bit quicker. All right, so this third exercise is a movement that I love to do because you're gonna do speed work with intent. And this is gonna be something that you can use for transient speed. This is gonna be something that you can use for cutting. Sometimes when we run sprints, if we have a little bit more of an intent, we're just gonna kick it up a notch just by having that goal of what we're trying to get to. So in this case, we've got a lacrosse ball. I'm going to throw the ball up. It's gonna bounce. And by the time Brandon touches the cone down here and comes back, he has to catch us before the second bounce. There we go. And so that's something you can do 5 sets to each side. It's something fun that you can do. You can even take your football team out and some of the wide receivers can do the cutting drill while your linebackers and running backs can do this. It's a really, really good exercise to use to develop speed and that cutting capability. So when you're selecting exercises specifically for football, there's 4 key aspects that we want to focus on. The first thing, upper body strength and power. Second thing, 100% focus on speed development. Third aspect, lower body impulse and strength as well. And that fourth coveted factor is developing that dynamic trunk control so that you can cut, so that you can hit, so that you can be much more aggressive out on the field. And all of these elements can be found inside of our strength training app for football players, Peak Strength. The first workout of the week, we're gonna develop that lower body strength. The second workout, upper body power and strength. Third workout, this is where we're gonna do athlete day and focus on speed. Fourth workout, this is gonna be impulse focus. Fifth workout, if you're gonna train 5 days a week, that's where we're gonna develop that hypertrophy. Football is a sport that requires a large amount of speed, power, and strength. And now that we have speed covered, we've got 7 more movements that you guys can use today in the gym to develop that football power. Okay, so the cool part about a sled is that you can use it to develop your speed and to develop your leg power, and you can also use it for your upper body strength. And one of the big aspects around football is that our upper body has to be really, really freaking strong so you can handle taking big time hits and handle giving out big time hits like Brandon did this year against Florida State. And then what we want to see is that that strength can also be used at high speed. So Brandon is going to get off the assault bike and he's going to demonstrate the sled pull with a rope. And so I like using about a 2-inch rope here, focusing on that grip and focus on a nice pull that accelerates through each stroke here. This is probably one of the biggest upper body exercises that Brandon did growing up. And one thing I love about this is when you're grabbing here, and you're grabbing, like let's say you're getting a wrist or anything along those lines, this is gonna help move somebody when you're out on the field. And then we're gonna get into the next exercise that's gonna have even more grip work. Okay, so this next upper body exercise, we're gonna use the garage grips to try and stimulate more motor units from your prime movers and your lats in this case, and also from your grip. So Brandon's going to demonstrate a seated row with the garage grips on. And one aspect here that we forget when we're doing something like this that can be considered a bodybuilding movement is that this is gonna transfer really, really well to protecting the ball if you're a running back, even if you're a wide receiver, grabbing jerseys, grabbing wrists, trying to move an opponent. This plays a massive role. And if we can just develop that upper back, develop the lats, develop lower traps as well with this seated row, we're gonna stay healthier throughout the season. And I would do this, 4 sets of 17 to 20 during the hypertrophy point of our training system. Okay, so the next exercise that we're gonna do is dumbbell bench with a pause on command. And in this case with Brandon, because he's on the defensive side of the ball, I am going to use my hand as a target for when he's gonna move. Now, if I had the offensive side of the ball, I might use my auditory command and say, go. I'm gonna do both here with Brandon, but this is gonna be something that we can develop that shoulder girdle, the pecs. Then again, think about when we were talking about with the sled, him posting up potentially here. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic movement that we wanna look at as developing throughout the season to get that max strength in our pecs, our shoulders, and our triceps. Ready, big dog? Go, go. There you go. 2 more. Go. 1 more. There, good, okay, good. So we could do this like 5 sets of 5 building up, and then 1 set of 12 to 17 reps to just get a huge pump at the end of that workout. So another awesome upper body exercise to develop strength and hypertrophy is going to be dips. And we can do this as a calisthenic movement, or we can put on a whole bunch of weight. And maybe you do dips with like 315. So we're gonna go here. And we have this unique contraption where we have a shaky dip stand. That actually forces you to focus a little bit more on that trunk control, which we talked about in the beginning. So Brandon, get on here. Let's see if you can do full range of motion dips.
Yep, there you go. I was wondering when you were gonna bring that up.
And this is a great way to help with stiff arms, great way to help with tricep strength. And again, if you can improve your dip strength, see, they don't have these contraptions at the collegiate level. We have such a unique contraption that it shakes while you're doing it. So it just adds a degree of difficulty.
That's high performance technology.
Yeah, that is 100% high performance tech. We get in here, we do 4 or 5 sets, building up to like a top 5 rep max. So you got like 100, 150 on, and then we finish with like 2 sets of 20, just repping out here. This is gonna be a great way to develop tricep strength. That's my lockout.
I think that was 3 reps in total.
Pec strength, and it's gonna help you be stronger later in the 4th quarter. Like you, Brandon, always strong in the 4th quarter. So we know that upper body strength is necessary. We also need to develop a lot of power and impulse expression from our legs. So the legs play a massive role in locomotive speed, right? Think about how can we develop them to be extremely powerful, extremely explosive, and to execute that high level of impulse expression. That means a large amount of force in a short period of time, and that's where the next 3 movements come into play. Okay, so the next movement we are going to do, let's say 5 sets of 3 on each side, and we're gonna use this technologically advanced piece of equipment available at garagestrength.com, our single leg roller and pad. And so Brandon has done upwards of 182 kilos in the single leg squats, and actually yesterday just did 160 in just his 2nd week back of training here. So he's gonna demonstrate unbroken single leg squats, down, up, nice and fast, but he's gonna focus on that trunk control as well, and that's gonna help improve his ability to cut, but also his unilateral strength. So unbroken single leg squats, 5 sets of 3 each side. Better make it perfect, Brandon. You only got 70 kilos on. 2, 3, perfect. 1, 2, 3, good. And now one thing too that I like to think about with football guys, especially Brandon, he's a taller dude, right? He's got really, really long legs. is that sometimes dudes with long legs, not that they shouldn't back squat, but back squat can be more challenging for them, relative to, let's say, a lineman who might be tall but has shorter legs based off of their torso length. In this case, with Brandon, he's got those longer legs. We can really target that and develop his posterior chain very, very well with the single leg squats, and longer limbed individuals will develop more leg strength from single leg squats than they would from traditional back squats. But they should still back squat as well. Okay, so this next movement is gonna be an exercise that you can use to develop that overall impulse with really, really heavy weight. And one of my favorite quotes is just learn how to move heavy weight fast. And when we're looking at this specific exercise, we're gonna do this on the minute, meaning every 60 seconds, you're hitting a freaking rep. And we've even done this with Division II All-American DK Hoagland, where we would do 15 sets of this, prepping him for getting in season, and he would work up to around 170 to 175 kilos. So Brandon's gonna mimic this here, an on the minute, 1 box clean. So nice and fast, right off the boxes, catch that really, really tight. He's gonna drop it, we'll rest 60 seconds, and then we'll hit another one. Boom, good. Okay, so he can hit that. Let's hit it for a double actually, because that's so light. Let's say he hits this for a double, right? Boom, okay, he drops it. Now we'll put the timer on, we'll rest 60 seconds, he rests for 60 seconds, and then we do another double. And then the thing is that let's say that we're 8 to 10 weeks out, when you start to see a room filled with football kids, okay, one thing with on the minute stuff is it's easier to control the room in that setting. The second aspect is that they start to get dialed in on that rest period, and they're really just starting to focus. And sometimes you will see them hit monster PRs because they get into a really, really good rhythm where they're not as distracted as they otherwise might be when you're in that high school setting. So another one here, double Brando.
You got it, Captain.
Boom. Good. Great job.
Like by the time I got to high school, I had a training age that was equivalent or higher than most of the kids I was playing with.
Right, and so you were probably cleaning, I'd have to look at the backboard, but you were probably cleaning over 250 and benching close to 300.
Yeah, I was at like 305 going into high school, and I was like 260 something on clean.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like
before I really got into high school.
Using those benchmarks then, one, for kids in high school or kids in middle school, depending, even kids in high school. Brandon plays at Pitt, starting linebacker at Pitt, and it has had phenomenal games this year against Notre Dame, against Florida State. And it's like, we can use that then as somebody on the outside, you can look at this and say, okay, if that's what he did, if I want to get to that D1 level, if I want to be ready, I can hit these same benchmarks. And that's the exact system that we used with Brandon. The exact same system is inside of Peak Strength. We programmed everything inside of there. You download Peak Strength, you can go in and select football, and you can select that you want to train like a linebacker, a running back, a skilled position like a wide receiver potentially, or a quarterback, or even if you're a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. So head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. You guys can get on the exact same system that we use to develop Brandon to be a total savage.
And the same system they use to develop absolute freaks in the gym.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, one of my favorite exercises to improve your vertical jump, to improve your jumping capability, to improve your speed is going to be a hip power snatch, which Brandon is going to demonstrate. What we want to see is a little bit of load on those hips, almost like a counter movement, okay, and then explode up and punch with those shoulders. Boom, good. Give me 2 more. We're gonna feel good trap movement there. Good, 1 more. Big explosiveness. Good, and this is something that you can do in season because it's going to be a little bit lighter. It's gonna help you feel like you're moving that heavyweight freaking fast, and it's gonna help you hit quite a bit harder. Technically, the next exercise is going to be the fastest of them all. And I believe this movement can be the best at developing, again, that vertical jump, just like that power snatch, but also that hard hitting capability. And that is going to be a behind the neck jerk, which you're ridiculous. So Brandon's gonna do, let's say 6 doubles or 5 triples. And we wanna think about getting into that counter movement here, driving that quickly, and you can get into a split, or you can do this into a power position, anything along those lines. When Jan Johnson was training with us, prepping to go to the Titans, one of the things that we would do with Jan even was do linebacker jerks right off the boxes, which we've used in other videos. So with Brandon, I want to demonstrate that behind the neck jerk. Nice and easy. Good, give me one more. Good. I do want Brandon to now demo that linebacker jerk. So you'll go under the bar, right off the box, drive up, and get right into that split. Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, Brandon is a linebacker, and I'm gonna share. There you go, nice. It's a little light. When Brandon was in high school, I wanna say behind the neck jerk, like 150, 160, something like that. So like 330 to 350 pounds. This year when he had a tip ball, okay, so he had a tip ball against Notre Dame, first quarter tip, he ended up picking the ball. The first thing that I thought when I saw that play, him driving 150 kilos as fast as possible, hitting into this position and being stable. And that's the big thing here with a behind the neck jerk. It's gonna help you be explosive. Then you're stable here. Brandon makes that nice little tap and then picks the ball, takes it back, 10 yards or wherever it was. But some of these athletic movements that are done at really, really high speeds transfer very, very well. You've just got to figure out where they need to go inside of your programming. Okay, so this next exercise you can use to develop that trunk control rotationally. Okay, so we want to see if we can plant and accelerate out of that cut really, really well with this rotational med ball throw. And there's a unique progression that you can do where you can just go standing side med ball throws. Okay, let's say you do 3 sets of 5 to each side. But then as you get more advanced, as you're getting closer to the season, we want to start to be a little bit more specific. So Brandon's going to demonstrate with a side jump into a side plant and an aggressive throw into the wall. Give me 3, Brandon. And you can use this to juke. Boom, good, perfect. 2 more. Try and cut out of that as quickly as you can. Boom, boom, good, 1 more. Nice and fast, explode, boom. So it's like as he rotates, he's gonna get out of that. And think about with Brandon as a linebacker, he might plant, hit somebody here as quickly as possible and get out of that cut if he's blitzing, if he's in coverage, wherever that might be. 1 more. Good. Speed, power, upper body strength, lower body strength, improving that trunk control. These are all things that you guys need if you want to become a champion. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always
got to cultivate your power.
Peace.